All right, let's go out to Kansas City, Missouri, and talk to Hannah. Hey, Hannah, what's up?
Hi, Dr. John. Thanks for taking my call today.
Of course. What's going on?
Well, I wrote in with the question, how do my husband and I stop living in the past, move forward with our marriage and our life together when we've put each other through some pretty traumatic things?
What'd y'all do to each other?
Well, we have 3 kids. He had a child from a previous relationship. And then we had 2 together. And when I was pregnant with our second child together, he had an affair with a coworker. And I found out about a month before I gave birth.
Good gosh. That's great.
It had gone on for like 4 or 5 months before I found out. And I was just kind of in survival mode and was like, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to have a newborn baby. I have a child under 2. I have a stepchild. I was just kind of in survival mode and just was taking it day by day and trying to process everything. And I chose to stay. And then...
Hold on. Did you choose to stay out of survival mode, or you survived, the sun came back up, and you were like, no, we're going to work on this? Or was it the terror, I have a newborn, and I know it's like, oh, I would leave him. People who say that have never stared economics in the face. They've never stared single motherhood in the face. It's a scary proposition, right?
Yeah. At the time, I was just kind of numb.
Okay.
I didn't really, when he told me, I said, no, you didn't. Because I just didn't believe it. I was like, the person that I married would never do that.
Okay.
And so I didn't even believe it. And then he told me everything, like literally everything. Some things that I wish that maybe I had never known. Because now they're in my head forever and I have to deal with that. But I stayed because he told me everything. And he was like, we're going to make this work. I love you. I want to be with you. I don't know why I did this. And I didn't think I could leave.
Okay. So you had this baby. I mean, you found yourself between a rock and a hard place. You said, all right, fine. We're going to figure this out.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
I brought it up a lot because I was trying to process it because I just couldn't believe that the person that I thought I knew just wasn't that person anymore to me.
Okay.
And so
you've heard me say this before on the show. You lost trust in you.
Yeah.
Because you're a pretty smart woman. You're growing a human, for crying out loud. And you missed it. 4 or 5 months in your own house, under your own roof. And there's almost this staggering, I don't even trust me anymore. Which is unnerving if you've never experienced it.
Yeah.
There's one thing to not trust your another person anymore. All of us experience that, but we don't always experience, oh, I failed me.
I kind of had thoughts that maybe that was going on.
Yeah, here it comes. I should have's and I could have's and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I told myself when it was happening that oh, well, that's not him. He would never do that. I mean, the things that he was telling me seemed like they were valid.
Okay, but let's skip to it. So you were mean to him and you kept bringing it back up. You said, I'm in, but then you kept bringing it back up and hitting him with it and hitting him with it and hitting him with it. Then what happened?
Yep. And then we spun our tires through it and just kept going round and round, and then things would be okay. And
you're
then
avoiding telling me something. What is it? What is it, Hannah?
Well, fast forward to 2020, I was back to work after I stayed home with the kids for a year. And
I knew it. You cheated on him too?
Yep. I met somebody at work.
Hannah.
And that lasted like maybe 2 weeks.
Okay.
I mean, I had been talking to this person at work. We didn't work like in the same office. So it was, he would come to our office and I would talk to him, and then eventually got his phone number and texted and met up a handful of times. And it was more of an emotional affair than anything.
Did y'all sleep together?
No, we didn't.
Okay. So y'all just met and like talked about how much you liked each other?
No, there was physical, but it never got that far.
Okay. All right.
And I just...
And so we're
3
or 4 years past that. Did you tell your husband everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How did he respond?
He was upset.
Yeah.
I mean, he was angry, as he should be. I quit my job.
Good for you.
After
that was hard.
It was, because I didn't have another job lined up.
Yeah, that was really tough. And that meant that tells me you were all in on your marriage. Or at least you were all in on, that's not who I want to be.
Yeah.
Good for you. That was hard.
Yeah.
All right, so it's 2024. Like, what are y'all working through? How can I help?
Well, I've been going to therapy. I mean, I went to therapy like immediately after his affair because I had postpartum depression. I didn't know how to process anything on my own, and I was aware that I needed help. And I quit going to therapy. Now I go back to therapy again. I go to a recovery program for alcohol.
Okay. Do you drink too much?
I used to. I will have 3 years in February.
Congratulations. That's awesome. I'm proud of you. So let me ask you this. What about 2020? Besides, I don't know, the world was melting down. Besides that, you have what I would call like an extraordinary fantasy with this guy at work, right? You still there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you have this extraordinary fantasy with this guy at work. The emotional, the physical, the somebody's finally making me feel alive. And that's about the same time your alcohol is really reaching its pinnacle. And in both of those situations, your body is telling you to run and escape your life, the life you had built for yourself.
Yeah.
And now you're sober. Now you're just back with your husband. Have you cheated on him any other times?
No.
Okay. And you've just meandered in the desert for 4 years. And here you are, right?
Yeah. I've tried to get him to go to therapy with me. We did visit like with our pastor at our church a couple times.
What's the problem? What are y'all trying to solve right now?
Right now, for me, finances are a big thing, but I have yet to have that conversation with him because I know how it's going to go.
Okay, let me tell you. Your marriage is almost over. It's almost completely over. It's one more, like the table has been set for another affair. The table. I would be surprised if one of y'all have not had some sort of something going on. It would take two extraordinary people to have held out because y'all are as far apart Y'all are co-managers of your household at this point. Is that fair?
Some of the time, yes.
Okay. And can y'all come together and just have these like really crazy, emotionally wrought, erotic times, and then it goes back? Is that what happens?
Yes.
Okay. That type of sexual connection is desperation. Like, you ever watch those movies where somebody's underwater and then their oxygen tank runs out and then they finally make it to the top and they go, that's what that is. And y'all crash into each other. And you get a couple huge gulps of oxygen and you'll go back underwater on your separate places. Your marriage is it's at the brink. And so here's what has to happen. You have to have two adults sit across a table from each other and say, the marriage we had is over. I would like to build something new. Will you build it with me? Please say yes. What is that supposed to mean? I'm going to tell you. You've hurt me. I've hurt you. We've lived in a desert for the last 4 or 5 years. We get to choose what happens tomorrow, and I'm choosing to not continue to live like we've been living. Are you in? Because if you're in, here's what I need. I need transparency when it comes to your phone use. I need transparency when it comes. I need us to sit down and have chit-chat time together or talk time together. We're going to put sex on the calendar so we don't just have it once every 2 weeks and it's these crazy get-togethers. I need you to tell me what's going on financially in our house. There cannot be any more secrets between us. Are you in?
Yeah.
Because right now, both of y'all are scared to have that conversation. So you're both quietly, gently suffocating the other one. And your kids are watching every second of this. And they feel the electricity in your house. It's not fair.
Yeah. I don't want them to have the example that we're setting.
Okay, they do until you decide to set a different one.
Yeah. I don't want them to think that that's what love in a marriage looks like.
Okay, but they do until you do something different. Is your marriage over?
No.
Are you done?
No, I'm not.
Okay. He needs to hear that. But it can't be desperate at the end of a fight or at the end of a dark moment or the end of a crazy sexual escapade where y'all both are able to breathe again and then you go off on your own. It has to be in a controlled, emotionally safe moment. Probably, I tell everybody, go to breakfast where the sun comes up, and where you're at a restaurant, you're at a different environment. So your body doesn't get all keyed up because it takes environmental cues. It doesn't have to be at breakfast. It can be at a park. It can be at a hotel. It can be anywhere. But we're going to have a grown-up conversation. It's going to be very, very hard. Are you willing to build a whole new marriage with me? And that picture, if he says, yes, I'm all in, then he's going to get to say, here's what I need in this new world. And you're going to get to say, here's what I need in this new world. And y'all are going to have to decide, here's what it's going to look like when we get there. And then, by the way, your kids are going to be teenagers and y'all going to have to go do this again because y'all have never been married with teenagers. And then one of them's going to leave the house and you're going to feel lost at sea and you have to do this again. And then you have to do this again. And this is the beauty of marriage. You get to be married to somebody new every couple of years, but you got to go back and redo the whole thing again. But here's the thing, like, how do you stop living like this? You flip all the lights on and say, I'm stopping living like this. And that comes with a risk because he might say, I'm not doing it. I'm done. My lawyer will be in contact with you. And then you got to own what is, because it is what it is. Hopefully, though, he'll exhale and start weeping and say, I've been waiting for this moment. Let's go all in. And you're going to have to look at him and say, what do you need to go all in? What do you need? And he's going to ask you, what do you need to go all in? That's where you start. And you'll have to imagine something beautiful and reverse engineer it. How do we get there? I'm 100% confident y'all can get there if you choose to. I don't see a path forward with that. Y'all go into a marriage counselor because y'all both need a bunch of tools that you're going to need to learn and practice with a counselor. But he doesn't have interest in that right now. Cool. Because he probably feels like marriage counseling is punishment for him. That's probably not the moment. But you'll get there. Turn all the lights on, turn the music off. Let's have a grown-up conversation about what comes next.